What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is GRAPHICALLY Espresso, and welcome back to another video here today on the channel. Today we got something a little bit different here with this. It's something that might have been a little bit better suited perhaps at the very beginning at the launch of Infinite Warfare and right around the time of the comparison we're going to be talking about today here with this. But with the recent report of Infinite Warfare being the #1 selling console game in 2016, making it the 7th of 8 years that Call of Duty has reigned at the top spot there, a lot of people are really interested in how the numbers worked and how really the comparison came about, because everybody saw Infinite Warfare is not necessarily the best success in 2016. That might be putting it lightly for some people, but it's still apparently, according to the marketing results and the cold hard numbers, came out on top. But that's not what we're going to be comparing about here today, because numbers are cool and all, but what about something a little bit different? I want to take a look at the graphical comparisons between the two biggest competitors right now, Infinite Warfare and Battlefield 1. Now, I don't usually do Battlefield, and it's something that is, of course, a little bit different for the channel here, so hopefully you guys do enjoy it. But I want to take a look at this because the head-to-head battle this year has been something absolutely fantastic. For gaming fans alike, it's definitely nice to see some hardcore competition between multiple titles, and even say other games like Gears of War, Titanfall, and other games like that in the whole genre. It makes for a very great year of competition, and of course, a lot of different choices that players have here with it. But with these big two always dueling it out for #1 and #2 in the most sales for console games, which one came out on top in a different area? So that's what we're going to be taking a look at here today with this one. We're going to be taking a look and analyzing footage from both Infinite Warfare and Battlefield 1. So let's kick it off with what we actually have as the #1 seller, that being Infinite Warfare. Now, the graphical comparison here with this one starts off a little bit interesting. We've seen a lot of different workings with the IW engine, and what we've seen in Call of Duty now for quite some time, it doesn't necessarily capture the hyper-realism that a lot of people may in fact go for. Of course, the graphics are absolutely fantastic and something that, of course, is still on par with the current generation of graphical standards, but is it anything above and beyond? I personally think that there's been better, but it is still, once again, nice. Not trying to knock what we're at right now, because it is nice quality graphics, but it isn't anything absolutely blow your mind, melt your face amazing, but it does get the job done and is still very good for the current day in graphical standards. One thing that you might notice is that a lot of it actually does look very similar to different previous Call of Duty titles. Some things maybe being Black Ops 3, Call of Duty Ghosts, and that's because they all run on the same engine. Previously, before games launched, we would get information and announcements saying that Call of Duty was using a different engine. This more than likely meant that it was just going to be updated from a different version of the IW engine, which is normally built off the ID Tech 3 engine, which has been around for absolutely ages. That said, though, the additional changes to this engine make it so there are updates in the quality of graphics, the mechanics, and all that kind of stuff, but at the very core, it's nothing that is absolutely mind-blowing because it's been around for quite some time. While I personally believe that Infinite Warfare was done absolutely fantastically by Infinity Ward in terms of graphics, if you take a look at the 4K versions, both on the PC and the PS4 Pro, it is something that makes it look absolutely fantastic, but there's just something that feels to me a little bit lacking in thereof in terms of the quality compared to some other games built on different engines. A lot of this comes down to the lighting. A lot of different games are utilizing the HDR technologies within development of the game, especially if they're in current development now with all these different technologies coming out. That is where we kind of cross over into the Battlefield end, where the Frostbite engine comes into play. This is one of the many game engines that utilizes the HDR technologies of the newer consoles of PC, and as a result can give a lot better lighting, which is something that you might not think about in immediate use as something that makes absolute massive differences in the graphics, but it really does. For those that don't know what HDR is, it is something that allows games to pull up and recall different shades of different colors with different radiance, different hues, and different feels to the natural colors that our eyes can pick up. If you think about a natural color palette and what our eyes can naturally see and detect, that is kind of the standard range of colors, but HDR goes a step further and goes outside, introducing more colors and more shades and more variants than we might initially think about, and therefore makes it a lot more of a unique gameplay experience, a more photorealistic experience, and something that just makes the gameplay a lot more immersive. That's something that I think Battlefield does tremendously well in terms of that, because you can see in different lighting environments where the colors will take these brilliant hues in different forms, lighting different parts of weapons and all that, how it just meshes all together very very well and creates a more almost cinematic experience, something where lens flares are kind of a thing, where there is a lot more lighting, reflections, the textures are a lot cleaner, a lot shinier, and it's a lot of different things to take into account and to process, and as a result, it makes it a lot better. And I believe the HDR text just make the games a lot more enjoyable to play as a result graphically. So that said, Battlefield uses that absolutely brilliantly. The Frostbite engine is something that's been around for a quite long time now as well, but has different iterations of it and has allowed for further expansion upon the game development standards. And it's something that really, I guess, comes down to more personal preference aside from the HDR, a different lighting environment, things like that. The game engine itself and how the game actually functions comes down to personal preference, and I guess as does graphics, but there's a clear divide here in which is a little bit more for a cinematic experience and where one is more so towards the core features of the game, where graphics are absolutely brilliant, but you're not necessarily focused too much on the extra extensions and the aesthetics. They're two different development models and concepts, and therefore as a result it makes it more so just preference-wise. I personally think that Battlefield 1 does have the way superior graphics. That's just me, and I love Call of Duty. It's something that I don't think it takes away from either of the two, but there's definitely something that I think Battlefield 1 this year has beaten Call of Duty in, and of course, as with previous years, the graphical standards, the more realistic, the photorealistic versions within the game. So I think that is my personal take on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Once again, this is all open-ended, all preference-based, and something that is completely opinionated, so of course you guys are definitely welcome to have your opinions down there in the comment section down below, all of which are extremely welcomed and all of which are definitely respected. So that said, leave your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little comparison. It's a little something that I wanted to talk a little bit about the head-to-head type thing, but in not necessarily the same manner that everybody is talking about it right now. I always find it fascinating to go head-to-head with these two and see where they stack up against each other, so hopefully you guys enjoyed as well. And that's it. If you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date with everything Call of Duty wise, Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3, Modern Warfare Remastered, and of course Call of Duty 2017 coming up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you dudes so much for watching. If you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, link is down there in the description below. Almost forgot that, but thank you dudes. I'll see you guys later. My name's been GRAPHICALLY. Take care and peace.